So yeah, I guess I can just kind of dive in, introduce myself.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about PRDAO and everything. As you know, we have our channel in here describing it, but if you can give us the quick elevator speech, that'd be awesome.
Sure. My name is Ryne Shriver. I think if you click on my profile there, you'll be able to see my LinkedIn profile. So that'll kind of give you the real life version of me. I've been in marketing for 18 years. Different traditional marketing as well as digital marketing, and over the last year and a half, I've been doing primarily Web3 projects. So it was kind of my first job right out of high school, and then I uh, just kind of stuck with it. I enjoyed it. Started off in sales where I did like campaign for my clients, and then I ended up VP of acquisitions where I planned large acquisitions for the company I worked for, like television networks and channels around the world. And then I kind of spun it off and did my own thing in my own company called Media. That's now called Y7 Marketing. So, been doing this for quite a while, and I enjoy it. Uh, Obviously, whenever COVID hit, a lot of people really found themselves kind of locked in their house, and they started to explore crypto and what that was like, and that was my story. I always heard about uh, different blockchains and was interested in it, but just never really had the time until COVID happened, and then I really uh, deep dove into it, and it just stuck. At the time, I was running a nonprofit organization, which was a shelter for sex trafficked and domestic violence and sexual assault victims, kind of in my spare time. So I had my marketing company that gave me more or less passive income, and then whenever I started getting a little bored, so I started to take on other projects. But now I am full time crypto and loving this project. So PRDAO is an automated freelance platform that allows freelancers to be able to get paid in crypto, but also kind of stimulates the community by creating this grading protocol that's pretty unique. Actually, it's very unique in the world of freelance platforms. So at launch, PureDAO will mainnet launch. It'll accept ETH, SOL, and algos, but potentially we could explore other tokens. But those are the first three that we're committing to. That's just the first project that we're talking about. The second project is called Pollen, which is a launch pad. Pollen is we're targeting hopefully December for testnet, and it has some DeFi tools, including staking and farming, that sort of thing. But it's also as a governance portal for people to create to vote on whether or not they want to do an ICO. Okay. Besides these two projects, we are also launching a token called Hive Token. And what the Hive Token does, it's not used in the platforms except for voting. So you can use the Hive Token to vote on whether or not you want to have vouch for that project to have an ICO on the platform. But also it acts as a anchor, as a literally a token that draws your share of the shared revenue from these two platforms and any other platform that we add to the Hive collective after Pollen. So these two we're targeting this year, but then next year we'll keep on adding because my income is tied toward the revenue of these platforms. Um, and that's kind of what I'm here to talk about is about this Hive collective. The first project being PRDAO, the second one being Pollen, and all of these projects are under the same raise that we're doing right now, which is for the Hive token.
Okay, so the project hasn't released yet. It's something that is, I think I'm seeing, or I saw from the website, it's this seed stage. What part of your roadmap are you at right now?
Right. So we are looking at launching an MVP between 1 to 2 weeks. So right now we're trying to raise some funds to get this out. But um, as soon as the MVP launches, then we'll start raising funds for an ICO. So right now we're looking for pre-seed. So this is the lowest price token. And for Alpha Ventures, we're actually offering some special deals, going all the way back to the original price of the NFTs, which was several weeks ago, which is 1,000 algos for 445 tokens. And that's if you buy these individually. But if you buy them as a group, which is really what I'm hoping that Alpha Ventures will consider, is we'll throw in some equity with it. And the reason why we're looking to do that is we're trying to grow our community, the number of governors that we have, and I'll explain more about what governors do. But more than that, looking at Alpha Ventures, I see the influencers that you have in your Discord server, which was very encouraging for me as a project. And it looked like a lot of you were not Algorand native, so bringing people from other blockchains, I think it really adds a lot of value, because I think most of the people that we have right now are Algorand blockchain people. So I see that as very valuable, which is why I'm excited to partner with your group. Now, what a governor does, real fast, let me go into that. A governor not only gets a token allocation, but will also get the right to vote on the token and manage the token. So over 60% of the total token supply is not is actually under the governor's control. So I've tentatively blocked those out for certain tasks, like 30% is designated for staking and farming, which more than likely will not be needed with this token, and I'll explain why. 20% is for grants and acquisitions and development, and 10% is just reserve. So the governors manage all of those tokens, including what platforms, what dexes they get involved with, if they want to do a cross-chain token, or what. So it's probably the most powerful position within this organization that we're creating.
Okay, cool. I see that Scott had asked a question about why algo. So personally, I'm not super well versed in in algo. So can you tell me a little bit about why that blockchain and how that experience has been, and like if you think that I like to think that different blockchains have different types of markets tied to them. So if you could kind of elaborate on why you chose that blockchain.
Sure. Algo's was my first blockchain, so I love Algo. I'm very well known within the blockchain, this blockchain world. So I have a lot of connections. I've worked with the marketing department of several of the projects. Goracle, which is an Oracle network being built on Algorand. Glitter Finance, which is a Solana Algorand bridge. Crypto Nerd, Citrus, and a few others. So I've helped out, and I'm well known. So it was just kind of more natural for me to do Algorand. Algorand's a very fast blockchain. It's never gone down. It has very, very low transaction costs, which is why what really interested me in all of this was that it was cheaper for a startup to happen. But we've incorporated Ethereum and Solana transactions within the platforms, so that is not, we're not limited to Algorand. It's just that the token itself, which is again that token that designates your allocation of shared revenue, is created on Algorand. So it's just that one aspect that's limited to Algorand as of right now. Now, governors can always vote to mint another token elsewhere, but as of right now, it's on Algorand.
Okay, that makes sense. I see Big M asked a question here, and this is actually one that I wanted to ask. So when I first read the description of PRDAO, it seemed like something like a marketing aimed business. So Big M asked, is a way you could describe this platform? Is it kind of like Fiverr but crypto based?
Yes, yeah. So the difference between Fiverr and our platform, obviously, besides accepting crypto, is the grading protocol. So I've for since COVID, that the Great Resignation. I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but the Great Resignation happened with COVID, where people just started quitting their jobs, and people really started to do more freelancing. So the demand for freelance work has increased. One, but then also I anticipate that it will continue to increase because of inflation, as families start are trying to keep up with costs. That they're going to be doing more and more freelancing on the side to generate additional income. So I see it as a very strong market. And on our white paper, if you click on it, you can see our competitor analysis. Is I think the very last tab in our white paper. But besides, I'm sorry, off topic. Besides receiving tokens, we also do a grading protocol. And what that means is whenever someone has completed the task, it doesn't go directly to the person that paid for that task to be done. Instead, it goes to three different graders. And those graders then review the task submission and then add notes. They also grade it for quality and impact and check it for maliciousness. So if it's been plagiarized, or, you know, if it's clip art or whatever the task is. And then, uh, and then they get a small portion of the fee for that effort. And then it finally goes to the person that paid for it. And the reason why that adds value is that the person that pays for it then gets uh, three other people's professionals' opinion about the submission. So if things need to be edited, uh, they're checking for plagiarism. If they have a thought about the color scheme or about the work that was done and how it could be done differently, then that the person that's paying for it will benefit from three other professionals' thoughts and opinions about the task. So I saw a whole lot of value in that because I've wasted a lot of money in Fiverr, um, receiving a task that I couldn't use because of uh, because of the person that did it just was disconnected from the project. It wasn't communicated well, or they were just a noob and didn't do a good job. So I think that if anyone has ever used Fiverr or Upwork and they've paid for a task to be done, they've probably fallen in that same trap where it was just a waste of money, because even though they might have completed the task, so you can't blame them for that, it wasn't completed the way that you needed it, or professionally, the way that it needed to be done.
Okay, so the grading mechanism essentially like is so that no one I guess the value is received by the customer, right? Okay, so how does that work in the process? I imagine if, something like this were to scale and get a lot of customers, how would is there like what does that process look like exactly? Is there like just a small team of people doing these things? I imagine it can get pretty hard to do something like that with scale, right?
So, the, I mean, it is complicated and it is hard for the platform. That's why it hasn't been done. But uh, with this, so you can, Zach, you can create a task. Let's say you want someone to proofread some doctoral, um, you know, essay that you wrote. You want someone to proofread it. So you create the task. You're willing to spend a soul on it, or two soul, for someone to proofread it professionally. then what you do, you can, as soon as you submit that task, you can accept other tasks. So if someone's willing to pay you 3 SOL to do a graphic design of some guy wearing a hat, then you can do that. You can do that because you might be a good artist, or you can accept bounties to grade other people's work. So it's a way for you to generate income as well as get your work done that you need done.
Okay. I do want to ask about the name before I ask another question by the community.
Sure.
So tell me about why did you decide to go the DAO route? And can you tell me a little bit about, I guess, so the DAO route, obviously governance, so there's going to be benefits. I imagine that they're primarily going to be financial. So how would, I guess, like, is there room for investors to just buy the token and then get, rewards, or is this something you would hold for a long time, or is this something that you would have to, be involved in the governance process?
Sure. So PRDAO. Okay, so it's part of the bigger puzzle. Uh, anytime someone is trying to launch a project, a blockchain project, and they're looking at a launchpad, they're looking to solve 2 issues. They want to know, can this launchpad help me reach my financial goal? Can they raise the money that I need? And can they market my project to where I will grow? So both of those require a community that's large and active. So that was why we first decided to start with PRDAO rather than Pollen, because even if we did have a launchpad, marketing that launchpad and growing that community takes time. So PRDAO then is the mechanism that we're using to build up our community, get a strong marketing community, someone who is going to promote, latch on to projects and help them to grow and build up a professional network before we launch Pollen, which will really be the largest moneymaker of the 2 projects. So again, on our white paper, we have projections that were done by a third party that really show that once Pollen launches, that's whenever the revenue generated by token holders, it really launches also. It really shoots sky high. So as a governor, you get the lowest discounted token, and then you also get a say pretty much in every project. So if you have a pet project that you love, if you're wanting to do music NFTs or something like that, then that's really being a governor is going to be the position for you. So you're able to steer the collective in that direction, so to get your project covered. And then really we're talking about a launch pad here. So what that means is that governors are going to be first in line to buy the lowest token price on everything that's being launched on the launch pad, which is huge. So that's going to be not just one investment, but a series of investments that governors will have first-hand access to.
Okay, cool. So this is like very, this is, just like a long-term project with a lot of plans or projects. So I think I saw like in some of the graphics, there's just like a lot of types of for the token, like Hive. That's good. Can you tell me a little bit about the team, about who's behind it? Are you the main founder? Do you have a co-founder? What does that look like?
I have a co-founder. His name's Servando Salazar. He's the developer. So he's been developing for 11 years, Web 2, and for the last couple years been Web 3 projects. He's really great at UI. I initially started with a developer. Her name's Rabia, and she's still on the project. She's still working, but she's a junior developer probably. or more like a junior developer. So then we ended up asking Servando to come on a couple months ago, and he's been really heading off the development since then, more of a CTO role. So besides those three, there are two other part-time developers, Tenveer, and one other position that comes and goes part-time. And then occasionally we bring in some help for modding and that sort of thing, just to help with the community, Discord and Telegram, especially whenever I'm asleep. But it's a pretty lean team, as well as a very small raise. That was what we wanted to do, especially in this bear market. We didn't want to ask for $1 million. It was something that we felt very geared toward, very motivated to do, was to have a very small raise, just enough to develop the two projects, get incorporated, and do the audits. We felt that once we did that, we would be more focused on generating revenue, because that would be where our paychecks came from, would be from the revenue of the platforms. So we would be pushing for the growth of PRDAO and pushing for ICOs to launch on the launchpad.
Hey, sorry about that. I got disconnected. There was a hurricane in my area, so I think I'm still kind of going through that. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, so you were explaining about the team. You were mentioning that I think you said is Armando. Was it Armando?
Servando, yeah.
Armando. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's a pretty small team. It's just you three at the moment.
So there are three that are more full time, and then there are a couple that are part time.
Okay. Cool. Can you tell me a little bit about how? Well, I guess you've been building this project for some months, right? So
Yeah.
the current state of the market, how do you plan on, like, because you're building in what a lot of people may call a bear market, does that impact any of the things on your roadmap? Or I guess, like, do you have like a best case scenario? Let's say the sale goes really well. Or is there like some sort of like alternative if, maybe some people decide to buy in, or maybe you don't reach that levels? Like, is there some sort of security for investors regarding
Sure.
the NFTs and things like that?
So we originally started with the NFTs. That was the route that we were going to go. And whenever we ran into the challenges of the market, the governors that bid in very quickly, they just decided to put a pause on the NFT sales. So we went ahead and we flipped it off, and not flicked it off, flipped it off. And then what we had is occasionally people would reach out and would ask if they could buy an NFT, but for the most part, it's been turned off for the public. And what we've started to do the last 2 weeks is I've started to reach out to VCs and to DAOs and ask for their investment rather than the NFT route. And we've run into several issues there, which I can elaborate here in just a moment. So if for some reason the first round doesn't sell, if we can't find angel or VC investors, then all of the costs, because it is a very lean budget, it's not like there's any padding or runway here. All the costs will have to be pushed onto the ICO round. And if for some reason the ICO round doesn't sell out, which at that point would only be $170,000 with all the costs, because that's really all that we're raising between the two rounds is 170. Then it would just limit how much liquidity we could put into the token, because again, the price is so about $80,000 is the liquidity, and the rest is just for overhead costs. So it is, again, very, very lean amount that we're asking for.
Okay. I think you mentioned you haven't received any VC investments at the moment.
No, it's all been bootstrapped by us.
Okay.
So what we would do then, if for some reason we couldn't raise any liquidity, it would be a revenue generating model only. And the token then would have no trading value. Instead, it would just be a revenue share. So every time something sold daily, you'd be airdropped algos, which is a very liquid token. So you'd be able to cash out or exchange that for whatever token that you needed to, without it affecting the project at all.
Okay, I like that. I think I did see a brief overview of Hive tokenomics at least. Can you kind of just go over some highlights of that, of what kind of revenue one can expect? I think I see something about the fee is like 5%, for example. Um, so kind of like go over that, and I did also see in the white paper you did a comparison like with other competitors. So if you could kind of describe, the results of that and why you think PRDAO and its projects are just the best alternative for the market.
Sure. So the tokenomics are again very, very conservative. The token, originally we had the token to where it was used on the platforms, but it's not now. Now the token is set to be just a marker, with liquidity. So if for some reason someone was out or just needed the funds, they could sell the Hive token. But our goal was to create a token that no one would ever want to sell. So the Hive token then, depending on the size of the weight of your wallet, that determines your allocation of the shared revenue. Both platforms charge 5%, 5% for the ICO, and then 5% for every transaction on PRDAO. And 20% of that fee then is shared revenue, or shared amongst token holders. The tokens there's only 1 million tokens, but there are 6 decimal points, but still 1 million tokens is a very small mint size. And the reward token would be, like I said, algos. So the reason why we feel like our project is so different, first, the fee is very competitive. The shared revenue, I think, will generate a very involved community, which I think will generate more sales. And then the tie between the ICOs and the marketing, and that really is essential for shared revenue for all of us. Because, like I said, projects are going to go where they feel like they benefit the most, which means it has to have a community of investors that are willing to support them financially, or launch the project. And then it needs to have a strong marketing arm. And we believe that the DAO format of the project, and then the 2 branches of this project that we're starting off with PRDAO and Pollen, really fill that need.
And speaking about it, because with your background, can you tell me a little bit about the marketing plan for this project? If there's so from what I've seen, at least in the crypto market, with the type of investors that invest in projects in DeFi, they're looking, or I've seen that marketing is very important to the success of the projects, right? That's probably not too
Yeah,
different from real life businesses, but can you tell me a little bit about your marketing plan for the future?
sure. So we do have a few governors that are actually influencers that have joined early. They've been a little cautious to put their name behind PRDAO because they don't want to shill, because that they represent the ecosystem. They're kind of considered like news. Um, so between them, with having favor with them and being able to release news that's relevant to the ecosystem very loudly, And the professionals that we already scheduled to launch with, we're going to have a very strong marketing. The biggest issue that we have now, of course, is the funding. It's paying for marketing, because marketing is never cheap. But with doing platform credit, as well as creating these partnerships that are already established, then we're going to have a very busy platform whenever we launch on mainnet, and probably even on testnet too.
Okay, cool. And testnet, is there a date for when that would happen, or if someone wanted to get involved in, some random person, for example, an AV, would they be able to come and kind of test out the platform, or do you have to be an investor? How that work?
Sure. So right now we're doing governors are going to be testing the platform, because they're considered a trusted person, a stakeholder. So we're going to give them early access to the platform to work out any kinks. The platform is really going to be able to launch very quickly once it goes to testnet. Just because on testnet it will be able to receive the tokens that we need it to. So that part is not very complicated. It's more or less just transactions. So the most complicated part is the grading protocol. It's the part that that most of these projects wish that they had and wish that they could do, but they haven't found a way to do it. So the MVP that we launch here in about a week or two, it's not going to have the grading protocol, which is probably the biggest differentiation between us and our competitors. So the grading protocol will have to wait until it gets complete, which means we have funding to be able to pay for it. That'll be on mainnet.
Okay. And for those who might want to maybe be the freelancers on the D app, how would they go about that? Is there some sort of vetting process for something like this?
No, it's a completely decentralized process. So, out of necessity, we had to request for emails. So that's something that we went around and around about. We had a lot of discussion about it, but ultimately we decided that we would at least start with it, and then if we just had a huge uproar about requiring emails, then we could maybe try to find a workaround. But the thought behind it is that we needed to be able to send you notifications. So anybody then that wants to create a profile can do so. They just need to put in their email for notifications, and then of course there's the wallet functionality. But the same profile that you create to create a task can also be, it's the same profile that you would use to do grading or to accept a task. So there's no real difference there. Besides that, there's no KYC. You can put whatever name that you want to be called, your username, and then it's just as simple as possible. There is an ability to put a profile picture and that sort of thing, but for the most part, it's very, very Web3 friendly.
Okay. Um, Moving on from that, thank you for answering that. I wanted to ask a question from Logus here. He's asking, in PRDAO, is there an intermediary or approver between the freelancer and the client who determines whether or not to prove a task is performed? Is that pretty much what the grader does, or is there any other, like, what is PRDAO's role exactly? All of them.
Yeah, so PRDAO pretty much just distributes the task to the different people. So it is a random process for grading. You have to be a certain level. So every 5 tasks that you submit successfully, meaning that it wasn't determined to be malicious, you get upgraded to a different level. So the levels go from 1 to 10. one being noobs and 10 being pros. Uh, and the reason for that is that if you have a marketing task that's very technical, that maybe requires a lot more skill or a more professional person to handle it, and you want to be able to say, I need a pro, I don't need a noob. So we've allowed that within the task creation for the creator to designate it to a certain level or higher. So if I if I have a technical white paper on a decentralized Oracle network and I need help writing it, that's going to require a more professional marketer who has more skill than a someone who's a high school student and just completed creative writing course or something like that. So, but if it's like a 250 word blog that you need for your NFT platform, maybe you can choose a noob and then get away with paying less. So it kind of gives you that freedom to change the scale a little bit that best fits your needs and budget. But those tasks then are sent once it's completed. It's sent to 3 different graders so that they can review it, grade it, and then pass it on to the person that paid for it to be done.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that definitely is good. Big M here also asks, well, he was just asking if you guys were aware of Everbuild. I've never heard of this project before. Is that one of the competitors that you wrote about in your white paper?
No, that one's different. I have not heard of Everbuild.
Okay. No, he just shared a Twitter there. Okay. He's also typing something. Well, he asks, yeah, he says developed by XT. Um, Going on to another question, is PRDAO fully decentralized? I think you kind of answered that a little bit. Just the emails, I think, was pretty much the only thing that you can't really avoid right now. Is there
Yes.
any sort of employment contract, or is it a smart contract between the client and freelancer?
No.
Um,
No.
okay.
There's no contract or smart contract or employment contract. So if for some reason the employer, like if you wanted to hire someone from the platform to be your CMO, then you could do that, but that would you just be reaching out to them directly. Now, the problem with that, and I'm sure you've run into this, and I've run into this several times because I'm also the owner of several community channels. We get bombarded regularly with people who are asking to be moderators. They want to be, they want to take over the community. They want to jump in and be a chatterer or whatever shiller or whatever it is. And um, I've fallen for that to where I said, you know what? Okay, I need the weekend off, so I'll pay you to take over. And it ends up being the worst job ever done, where you just feel like you got gypped. So uh, in those situations, if you're an employer, you've learned your lesson, hopefully, to where you've decided to try to do something more formal. And rather than hiring just any Joe Schmo that you don't really know or have a relationship with or have a resume on. So that's what this platform is for people who want something to get done and want to mitigate the risk of losing their money for a task that's well done or maliciously done.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I just got triggered. I was like, all those tickets, all the DMs from random people. Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
if that was something I ever did, I think definitely some sort of service like this would be awesome. Um, okay, that makes sense. Let's see. Another question Logus had was PRDAO attracts talent who can bring experience to the team through a recruitment program. I think he's essentially asking, like, what does the sign up process look like? Um,
Okay. The
Like,
sign up is very decentralized also. So there really is no. I mean, there's creating a profile, but we all have skills. So Zach, you're moderating this right now. You're being the interviewer, and not everybody can do that. So if you wanted to create a task to, let's say you want to create a task to moderate for the weekend because you're going on vacation, uh, and you need the break, so you're going to create the task. But whenever that's submitted, you look around and you're like, hey, there's a bunch of gigs here, there's a bunch of jobs that are posted here for people who want a interviewer for a YouTube or something like that, and you feel like you can do that, then you can do that. And it's the same process. You don't have to create another profile. You don't have to apply. It's just in a different tab, creating a task compared to browsing tasks.
okay, yeah, that sounds straightforward enough. Do you have currently people who are interested in being freelancers on the I guess on the test net
Yes.
currently? Or I think that was also kind of part of the question. Is there some sort of recruitment program? I'm not super familiar with the space, so I'm not sure how hard it is to find workers. But is there a plan for that?
Uh, by far, so finding workers will not be an issue. They we touched on this just a second ago. We got bombarded all the time with people who, for good or for ill, are trying to market our projects, and that they might be great at it or they might be horrible at it, but they're banging at the door. And it's not just moderators or people on Telegram or Discord, but it's everybody. So that, and then whenever we look at our own skills, we each have skills that are unique to us that we've built up over the years. So someone might be a great proofreader, or another might be a great writer, or another one might be an artist, or maybe even a musician, or have a active YouTube channel, or a strong following on Twitter, or whatever it is that it is that you've built up, that you feel might contribute to a project, whether it's big or small, like being able to create a bot for a Discord channel, or being able to create a website or web design for a project. You can accept the offer or accept those tasks, and you don't have to have any professional licensure. And that's definitely a Web3 friendly platform. The more challenging task has been to get the larger projects involved with it, or being able to commit to uh, joining us whenever we go to mainnet. So how we've overcome that is I have a small team, part-time team, that have joined over 200 Discord channels. And what they've done is they've reached out to the moderators and the admins with pre-made flyers, letting them know that they are there and that they're an ambassador for us. So when we launch on mainnet, they will know that there's someone there within their community that they can reach out to help them navigate that. And then we've offered a promotion for the first 50 projects that want to launch with us, that they would be given a credit. And so far, all of those have been filled. So the credit was small; it was only $100, but all 50 of them have accepted that and have committed to launching with us whenever we get to mainnet.
Okay, yeah, that's super cool. Sounds like you guys are doing pretty well. Um,
Yeah,
okay, kind
for a freelance platform, I think we have all of our ducks in a row.
Yeah, it just kind of reminded me because I've seen actually somewhat recently some other projects that are similar to this. Um, so I'm glad you guys are doing great. To kind of kind of taper this off, is there any, I guess, like, okay, so I know first of all we have a few things to discuss. I know you have a special offer that you briefly mentioned earlier, but before that, if you had any kind of like final thoughts about whether how to get involved or why someone should consider investing, like kind of just like, the best points of everything. If you have like top three things you want to say right now, just to, encourage maybe someone in here who might be on the fence.
Sure.
You can go.
So primarily, the reason why AV should invest with us. One, you're going to get early access to invest in more projects in the future through the ICO platform. And then you get the shared revenue. So not just the token allocation, but also the shared revenue from both platforms, which is big. Um, and really, it's a revenue or an income earner for you. If you ever wanted to accept tasks, you would have access to that. So what we're offering specifically Alpha Ventures is that, of course, if you're wanting to do this individually, just one-on-one, we can do that. Just DM me, and I'll honor the price that I shared before, which was 1,000 algos, which is right around $300 for minimum buy-in, and then you'll get the lowest discounted token. But what I'm offering Alpha Ventures is if you come in together as a group, whether it's multiple wallets, but as a venture company or as a group, you commit to a certain dollar amount, which is between 20,000 US dollars and 70,000 US dollars. What I'll do is not just honor the lowest token price, which will be between 3 and 10% of the total token allocation or total token supply, but I'll also throw in their equity. And in this market, I felt like that would help ease the concern of investors because it'd be essentially doubling your revenue share, and without taking away revenue from other token holders. So this was something that we decided early on that we would do for this round. If we had someone that was big, and for us, 20,000 to 70,000 US dollar investment is big. So that would give you equity between 2 and 10% equity, and then between 3 and 10% of the total token supply.
Well, that sounds pretty amazing. Thank you for that. And I think we might have posted that actually in your personal channel. For those who are here right now, there is actually a PRDAO channel towards the middle of the server, and then it has all the information, including a short movie that was made for this special offer. So if you guys want to watch that, obviously it's not financial advice, but Ryne came out here and he told us everything about the project. It definitely sounds like they got something going on there, and I think the space definitely needs something like this. So yeah, I'm really happy that you were able to come on here and tell us about your project. And as you know, we have a DAO, an investment DAO. So just being here, maybe we'll talk about the project and what we think about it, and then if we're interested, maybe we can consider something like that. The bigger investment idea that you had. But okay, it looks like that's about all the questions. Is there any last thing you would want to mention before we end the AMA?
Not at the moment. So for us, we saw, like I said, a lot of value in partnering with AV. Your size was good. The fact that you're not Algorand native was good. That you have some active influencers within your community was good. And that you're investors. So I know that sounds ironic, but that you like investing in smaller projects because we're going to have ICOs lined up. So that's what we're looking for, is for partners just like y'all.
Yeah, definitely. And come in here, do an AMA. As I mentioned, everything is recorded. So for those who maybe weren't able to hear the whole thing, make sure to watch it on YouTube, which will be up later today. And of course, Ryne, this will be shared on all the channels we have as well. So, and then if you guys ever have any questions, by the way, or want to know more, like Ryne mentioned, you can DM him personally or even ask the question in the PRDAO, and we'll work together to make sure your question gets answered.
I appreciate that. And Zach, if just let me know then if what the community thinks, and we'd love to work with you.
Awesome. And I know Ryne will be here to some extent. I know you're a busy guy now, but yeah, I'll make sure to definitely keep you up to date with everything. And really thank you all for coming in today and listening to this AMA. Yeah. And if that's pretty much everything today, again, thank you, Ryne, for coming. And then we'll talk after this, and yeah, we'll keep each other up to date.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.